Hello everyone and welcome back to Essential Excel. In this quick tip video we're going to look at two formulas what are particularly useful when comparing data, and this is also going to be another video that we're going to say is going to be useful to reference back to in the future, as these are some formulas that we will be incorporating with other formulas that we've already looked at to help give us some more advanced equations, shall we say, that are going to particularly be useful as, like I say, we get more advanced with our formulas that we look at. So to quickly step through, the ones we're going to be looking at today are the and or statements. So what these are is these are both logical expressions in Excel that we can use to give either a true or a false answer. So what will happen is, literally, as I say, the answer that will come out of this will give us either a true or a false result. So to step through and to explain by one, we've got some very simple data here in columns A and B. So we're going to use the yes/no results you see in those columns to help demonstrate these formulas, but they're not limited to text. You could use value numbers or comparisons of seeing if things are larger than something else. But hopefully this will serve a good purpose and at least give some examples. As always, any questions that come up during this video, do just drop a comment below, or alternatively reach out to us on our Facebook, and we'll be more than happy to pick up any questions you have. So to look at the AND statement, in order to do the AND statement, we hit the equal sign and then type and open our brackets. And you can see the formula is then built up of multiple parts. So we've got logical 1 followed by logical 2. So what we have to do is enter logical expressions into the function for it to give us a result to see if those are true. So what we're going to do here is select, what we want to do is we want to utilize the information in columns A and B to give us an answer. And how the AND function works is it will say if, well, it's not an if statement, but if both of these logical tests are true, then obviously it's true, else they'll be false. So to give an example, it might help to explain it. So what we want to do is say, okay, we want the value in A2 to equal yes, and we also want the value in B2, I'll just type it in here for ease, we want that to also equal the value of yes, and then simply close brackets. So we have a start of a formula, and then within that we have our first logical test, which is to see if A2 equals yes, with a comma to then separate out our second logical expression, that is B2 is equal to this as well. And if we hit enter, we can see that we've got a false result there. And if I just drag this formula down so that that happens across all of those 3 rows, you can see how it's working. So what it's doing is, our test is we want to find out where both column A and column B contain the value of yes. And as you can see in row 2, one of those columns is yes and the other is no. So obviously we're getting a false result. If we look at the third row, we've now got the alternative. So we've now got the first field is no and the second is yes. So again, those two do not meet the criteria of both containing the value of yes. But if we get to our last row, in row 4, we can actually see here that both values are yes in both columns, therefore we've got true. So we can say that's a true match. We don't have to use yes. We could say we need, for an unknown reason, we need the first column to say yes and we need the second to say no. So if we just pop that into there and pull that back across those rows, you can now see that it's a different picture altogether. So obviously the bottom one here, both say yes, so obviously that's incorrect because we need one of them or the second one to say no. In row 3, the first says no and the second says yes, so that's the wrong way around. We need the yes to be in the first column. And then lastly, we have our first, or row number 2, and we can see that indeed the first column is yes and the second is no. And that is obviously true based on the conditions we entered. So that's the AND formula. The OR formula works exactly the same way, but rather than both of the logical tests within the AND statement needing to be correct, OR works on the basis that as long as one of those is correct, then it will give a true result. So let's demonstrate that. So if we go equals OR and open our brackets, and then select column A and say equals yes, and B2 equals, let's do yes, let's put yes in here. So we're basically put into our logical expression for our OR statement if the value in A2 is yes, or if the value is in B2 yes, then treat that as true. So if B2 says no, well, as I'll put enter and you can see what happens. And if I then pull that down, perfect. So as you can see, true is gone across all those values, and that is because as long as there's a yes in either column A or a yes in column B, then it's going to give the true result. Whereas, again, touching on and, both of these criteria have to be correct. So both the value in A and the value in B have to match that what you input to give true. In OR, as long as one or the other is, then that's all that matters. To try and get some false answers in here, if we just now put into the top one no, so if the column A value is yes and the column B2 is no, then let's see what happens there. So the first one is true because that's exactly the right way around. If we pull it down, there we go. We can now see we've got a false here because neither is the value in column A yes or the value in column B is no. So that's where they're not working and why it gives us the false answer. So they're two really quick little formulas that you can start using, particularly useful if you have a large set of data and you have some particular logic that you want to apply to that. This could be any examples, it could be survey results or it could be patterns you're trying to find. These are particularly useful and they'll give you a quick way to reference that in a column to then be filtered on to find the trues and the falses. But as we touched on, these are particularly useful formulas that we'll be using later on as we get into more advanced formulas in the terms of combining the formulas we've used so far, such as the if statement, or even a VLOOKUP. We might be able to use these two statements as well. Okay, so hope you have found that helpful. As always, if you do have any questions, do please drop us a comment below. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel to ensure you don't miss these future videos that are coming up. And as always, do please give this video a like just to show your support. If you have any friends or colleagues that you think this would be useful for, again, feel free to share with them and hopefully they'll come and join us as well here at Essential Excel. Okay, until the next video, we'll see you soon.